Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in. Today video is going to be about installing new transmission fluid cooling lines on my 2016 Chevy Sonic 1.8 with the Ecotech engine. So stay tuned, I'll show you how to do this. It's a pretty simple job and some basic tools required. So as I mentioned, this is the 2016 Chevy Sonic with a 1.8 Ecotech engine, and the reason I'm changing these lines, I'll show you down there, is the lines there are rusted and the bottom one's already leaking. If you can see, there's transmission fluid over the cover underneath, and the reason these rust in that spot is because that's the lowest point, and if you live like in the Northeast like I do, the road salter in the winter can get stuck on there and corrode the lines. This is not a very hard job to do. It's a little tight to get to the lines on this side, but you can get it done. And then the lines run across this way and underneath the battery tray where they connect to the transmission. And I'll show you how to do it. So we're going to be removing the battery tray so we can access the lines from on top. There's probably better ways to do this, like from underneath, but I like to do it with the least work possible, so I'm going to do it this way. Okay, so for starters, you want to remove the battery terminals, the wire, the connectors. We're going to start with a 10mm socket and a 3/8 ratchet. You just want to loosen this enough to disconnect the wire from the battery. And there you go, that's out of the way. Next thing, you want to come under here, open up this red cap where you will see the other 10mm nut to remove the positive cable on the battery. Once that's loose, you can go ahead and twist this back and forth as you pull it up. And there you go. That one's out of the way. And next we are going to remove a 13mm bolt down here that holds this bracket, which keeps the battery from bouncing around while you are driving. So I'm going to use two extensions here, and this is a 13mm socket. There you go. And using the 3/8 ratchet, start taking this 13mm bolt off. And there's your 13mm bolt. This releases the bracket that holds the battery in place, and there you have it. Put that aside, and now your battery is free to come out. My battery has a handle, so it's a little easier to get it out. Try to remember the orientation of the battery: positive side towards the back of the vehicle where the positive wire is, negative towards the front. Okay, so now that your battery's out of the way, I'll show you guys. We have to remove the tray. There are three 13mm bolts that need to be released in order to pull the tray off. But there's a few things that have to come off, a couple of wire harnesses that are clamped on. Okay, you just basically disconnect the wire clamps on that, the plastic clamps. And then this main unit here, that basically you pull back that plastic there and you slide this up. So let me show you how that's done. I'll try to do this with one hand, but it doesn't take much. Just pull the clamp back, raise this up, and you don't have to take this very far. You just got to get it off the tray so that you're able to remove the tray. And I'm gonna have to put the camera down so I can use the hands, but you get the idea. Okay, that's out of the way. It doesn't have to move much. Just basically lean it away from the tray to give yourself some space. And now we've got a couple of you know, just hoses and wires that are connected. This one's connected in 2 spots, here and here. And then we have this little bracket here that you have to raise up and detach from the tray. I believe there's a clamp on this one. Yep, there's a little tab that you push at the bottom and it lifts up and unlocks, and tuck that away. And then we have wiring harness back here and another one here, just that has some clips attached. You remove those. And these here, there's not a whole lot. Just kind of look around and see what's attached to the plastic tray so you know what to disconnect. All right, so I disconnected everything that was attached to the tray, which is this hose back here has 2 little plastic pins that connect to the tray. Then back here, there's a wiring harness that has a clamp that's also connected to the tray. And then over here, another wiring harness connected by plastic clips to the tray. So you remove those 3, and if they break, don't worry, because you can always zip tie them back up. So now we're using a 13mm and the 3/8 ratchet to remove the 3 screws I showed you earlier, which are holding the battery tray in place. So here's the first of the 3 screws that hold the battery tray. Here's the other one. It's nice to have a magnetic parts tray nearby so you can keep your screws in place and you don't drop them. And here's the 3rd one. And with that said, the battery tray is now loose. You just kind of wiggle it out of its place, and there you go. Battery tray is out. So here we go. Let me show you guys. And there is your top motor mount. If you want to see how to replace that, I have a video. I'll share the link of that video in the description below this one. But this is, if you were changing the motor mount, this is how you would access it. So there's the rear transmission line, as you can see back there. And then the top transmission line is right about here, just underneath here. Angle the phone so you can see it. Okay, so I believe those are 13mm nuts that hold the line in place. There's one here and then one here, and then these lines just basically pop off. You should have enough clearance to pop this line off with this metal bracket there, and that one you should be able to, once you loosen it, push it back and then just kind of maneuver it with this gap you have here so you don't have to remove the motor mount. And then they just basically route down along the side there, and there's a clip there. The new line that I bought the original line, comes with that clip new because it's probably going to break when you try to pull it out. And then they route underneath. That white clip down there is also included with the new lines. And after that, there's nothing else. This is actually just a clip that holds the 2 lines together and keeps them from rubbing. And then they connect to the radiator, one at the top and one at the bottom. Okay guys, so using the 3/8 ratchet and a 13mm socket, you reach down under there and you have just enough clearance to get to that nut on the rear line, as I showed you earlier. And they're not very tight, so it doesn't take a lot to loosen it. Once you get it loose, you can take your ratchet out and finish it by hand. Okay, and there you go. There's the 13mm nut for the rear. Now the rear line is loose, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the nut for the front line as well. Now the ratchet may be too big here to turn it, but like I said, they're not very tight, so you should be able to just get it loose enough where you can finish it by hand. Yeah. Yeah, this one's a little tighter for some reason, so I'm gonna need a smaller ratchet. I have a stubby ratchet I'm gonna use. It gives me a little more play. There's not a lot of room to play in here. All right, so here's my stubby ratchet. I picked this up on Amazon. They're not very expensive. You don't necessarily need this, but I just like to work a little less, so. So here we go. Let's give this a shot and see if this works out for me. Now, because you have a smaller ratchet, you're gonna have to work a little harder to loosen that nut, but you'll get it done. And there you go. I just got it loose enough. I can turn it with my finger. And here comes the second nut coming right off. So the lines are now unbolted. It's just a matter of pulling them out and getting them out of this little area here. There's the other 13mm nut. So that's both front and back. And now it's just a matter of, like I said, pulling them off of this side, and we also have to remove the clips to pop them off the radiator. Okay, so here we are at the radiator, and this is the top line. Now you see there's a plastic ring here, like a black plastic ring. You gotta kind of slide that out. And then here you'll see it's hard to see on the camera, but there's a small metal retainer clip. Where am I? Here it is. And you can get that out with one of these like picks. You can pick these up at Harbor Freight if you got one near you. And you just want to get under the clip here and pop it out. Once you pop it out, that line is free to come off. But I'm gonna need 2 hands to get this done, and then I'll show you what I took out. Okay guys, so it took a little finagling, but here's the clip that you're trying to take out. I'm giving you a good look of it. And it just basically holds the line from sliding out as as it's connected. So you basically manage to get the hook under here and just pull up and make sure it doesn't go flying, because you're gonna need this if the new lines don't come with it. So guys, some bad news. I didn't realize that the phone had stopped recording during the removal process and then the installation. It wasn't until I was almost through that I realized the phone was not recording anymore. So I apologize that I didn't show the rest of it, but I figured what I showed you was enough to show you how to get them off, and then basically putting them back on is the same way that you took them off. You know, the hardest part really is maneuvering the aluminum lines out of the way so that you can get the new ones in. But I'm going to show you what the old ones look like and what the new ones look like. So here are the old lines. If you can see here, this section here is very rusted. This is actually the section of the 2 lines that runs at the very bottom near the radiator, and that's why they get rusty, especially if you live in the northern parts where the roads are salted during the winter. And that's basically what happens. This sticks to these lines, and even though they're aluminum, they eventually start to rust and start leaking. But this is the old lines I removed, and I'm going to show you the new fully installed lines. All right, so here we are looking at the engine again, and I do apologize that I wasn't able to show you the entire process, but here is the new line installed on the radiator. Okay, and as you can see in the bottom now, they look nice and new. It does come, if you buy the original GM, it does come with new plastic clamps, as you can see the white one down there that's holding them together. And that's basically it. They're installed. I know it's hard to see, and I do apologize that I wasn't able to record the whole thing, but that's the finished product. I hope that what you did see in my video is able to help you. I mean, I showed you most of it. It actually stopped recording when I was trying to maneuver them out and when I did the new install. So yeah, again, I apologize, and I hope it helps. If it does help, let me know. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel so I can keep making more videos, and make sure to share it with someone that might need the help. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it.